May the force be with you is a phrase used to wish a person well to overcome a challenge. The invitation in this podcast, May the life force be with you, is to explore what it means to truly feel alive, to appreciate the physical, emotional, and spiritual connection to our energy, and finally to understand how this impacts who you are and all that you do. May this conversation inspire you to thrive. Hi, I'm Fiona.
And I'm Kahreela. And I'm still laughing even though we're in round 2 of this. I'm laughing because I'm recording. I'm
You're in
recording
bed?
this podcast. I'm in bed because it's 11:30 at night, and as soon as this ends, I'm going to sleep.
So that's what happens when you're on opposite time zones of the world. Your mindset and your life force energy is at a different point of the day to mine. So I'm on my second mushroom coffee, which is technically illegal. I'm supposed to only have one. It's not dodgy stuff, honestly. It strongly recommends you only have one, but I strongly needed two today. So we'll see how I am at the end of this life force conversation, because it's 10:30 a.m. for me, and I'm on my 5th call of the day because I start very early. So yeah, we have very opposing energies right now.
I am very much ready for bed. It's been a very long day.
It was Valentine's Day today. Well, yesterday for me, today for you. And I know you've been talking about body love and
Yeah,
love in general. So
love,
here's some love, Kahreela.
love. Well, I am like, may the life force be with you is clearly my true love because I'm doing that on Valentine's night. Like, from my bed, I'm in bed with May the life force be with you on Valentine's Day.
That sounds like a lot of self-love to me. The most important kind.
But yeah, I have had, it's been a really interesting week because, so astrology wise, David, our amazing David, who was just in the Life Force Cafe doing an amazing astrology workshop. One of the things that came out of the astrology workshop was that there's this big Chiron and North Node conjunction happening on the 19th of this month. And like Chiron is the wounded healer in astrology. So like Chiron, whenever Chiron's doing anything, you're like big ass wounds come up. And the North Node is destiny. And so this is, like David was saying, it's like a once in a lifetime thing that Chiron and destiny are meeting. And so like, but what he was saying is like, you know, your wounds are just gonna like open. You're gonna be walking wounds as they like fully open. And
we should put this podcast out on the 19th.
we should. Or the day before, maybe.
Yeah, the day before Saturday. So yeah, 18th. That's when we're next due. So let's do this, everybody. I hope you're tuning in.
If Cash can get it out in time, Seafoam Green Sounds can get it sorted in time. They probably can because they're amazing. So yeah, so I like, and I feel like this week has just brought up the mother of all wounds for me.
Oh,
deeply connected to love, Valentine's Day, body love, all of it. So yeah, it's been I'll begin, but I just want to ask you first, have you had the Chiron effect?
I don't feel like I'm an open walking wound. No. I've had some maybe reflections and wobbles on where I'm at in life. where I want to be, what I want to be doing, if what I'm doing is
You've
the
had
right
the
thing.
destiny. I've been
Yeah,
doing the Chiron and you've been doing the destiny. The
maybe,
North Node.
yeah, maybe actually. I don't feel I've had any love reflections this week. I've been very fortunate that I've spent the last few days with people that I love and adore in Sydney, off the back of my week in Melbourne doing the same. So I've just been surrounded by a lot of positive energy, a lot of children, who just that unconditional chat always fills up my bucket, as well. And so yeah, I feel pretty positive and grounded on that side of things, but a little bit of the destiny wobbles.
The destiny wobbles. Do you want to share any of the destiny wobbles you've been having?
Just that I love being in Australia so much, and I love the people here, and I feel very fortunate that in my life I've traveled and lived so many different places. But it means that people that are close to me and the different ways that I love to live my life are scattered all over the world. So the concept of home is a little bit of a challenge right now, and what that
Mm,
feels like, because I love Hove and I love being there, and I have a great group of friends and a way I live my life there, but it's very different to the things that make me feel happy and grounded and more fee when I'm here in Australia. So yeah, there's always that, am I in the right place? And what can I bring in from these places that I can find wherever I am? But I've always been like that. The last 15 years I've been kind of a nomad. So it's an ongoing journey.
uh, yeah, it we live in like the golden age of travel, eh? Like
Mhm.
it's amazing really that you can like have family on the other side of the like soul family on the other side of the world and feel at home on the other side of the world. But then I guess it's also like uprooting.
Yeah, and even the air is different. Like the air is different, the water's different, the culture's different, the language in some places that I live is different, and so you are. I love the children's movie Zootopia, which is actually my friends in Sydney. Their young kids got me into it. It's great. Top recommendation. I highly recommend everybody watches Zootopia. It's so funny. And they've got this clip where the bunny rabbit lands in like Zootopia, and there's all these giraffes walking around and rhinos and like they're all in work gear and they're all going about their business. But I love it when I'm thinking about all these different animals and species that are all existing together, which, they're not supposed to because it's a cartoon, but they're all different, but they're all doing the same things. And they're all like living their own version of that in their own little animal kingdom. And so sometimes I sort of look around and go, that's what we are. We're all just
I
like,
love
the giraffes and the, and the rhinos and the hamsters and the bunny rabbits, we're all just kind of coexisting, but there's a kind of pattern of life that is the same where you go. It's just we're different animals in this place. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I have this
you're
vision.
making so much sense.
Yeah.
I get it. I love it.
Or like the
And I
bar in Star Wars when you have all the different characters and they're from the different planets, but they're all sitting having a beer together in the bar and, in Star Wars. I kind of have those moments where I'm like, why do we have so much distrust and hate, if that's a strong word? It is, but it's kind of feels right at the moment. And this like
mm,
desire to hurt others when actually
mm.
we're all the same, just trying to do the same things, just in different parts of the land that's all connected. So, I want Zootopia rather than what we've got right now. And so that's where I want to live.
New Earth is Zootopia.
We're all the same, just, this, you cut us to the core and we're all just wanting the same things for our family, our loved ones, ourselves. And, it just makes me
Yeah,
sad.
I mean, I think actually most people just wish everybody else well.
They do, I believe.
Like, I believe that too. I feel like most, you know, most people just wish each other well, but there's a serious amount of unprocessed trauma that kind of gets in the way of that human kindness that is our nature,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's why shadow work and like, to me, shadow work is a form of activism. It's like inner activism. It's like get the trauma out of the system, out of the DNA, out of the.
So on Valentine's Day, which it is for you, or the week of love for when this
The
podcast comes
love.
out, do you want to talk about shadow and trauma, or did you want to talk about love? I know you can't have one
Well,
with the other, but
you can't have one without the other. Like my week of love, and I want to say that like I find Valentine's Day really weird. I never quite know what
why?
to do with it. When I'm in a relationship, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And when I'm not in a relationship, I'm like, this just makes me feel rubbish. I have done things like the last few years I've been guided to do like self-love ceremonies and stuff that is about kind of reclaiming Valentine's Day, mainly because I just have so much compassion for how weird Valentine's Day makes lots of people feel.
Yeah.
And actually, the love stuff, the self love stuff, the love ceremonies and stuff are really beautiful. But yeah, my love week was this really interesting Chiron Moon shadow journey. All around love, like it was perfectly timed with Valentine's Day. It's been really, really, really interesting, and that's why I was like, let's do a episode, because I was like, I feel like it's quite a good example of how you can shadow work anything. Where did it start?
Well, I
So,
was just going to say, what came first, the Chiron or the Valentine's Day? Like, what triggered what?
I didn't get triggered by Valentine's Day. We've talked before about body love, but body love is going to be on again. And body love's a really interesting way into the shadow, because it's like you look at yourself through the everyday rituals of food and exercise and beauty and rest. And I was doing a promotional webinar for Body Love, and in that webinar we looked at food, and you don't have very long in something like that, so I was just like, okay, in my personal journey, because I was doing it with the group in the field and the energetics, I was like, okay, I'm going to look at food and what have I done with food. And I was thinking what I'd done with food that day, and I suddenly like thought of this like piece of chocolate that I ate. And I was like, what Body Love does is it gets you to look at like how you're doing it. Do you see what I mean? As well as what you're doing.
Mindfulness, I would call it in
Yeah.
my work.
Yeah. Totally. Like, are you being conscious or are you being unconscious?
Mhm.
And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, that's so interesting. Because obviously you eat chocolate for pleasure, but like I wasn't actually experiencing pleasure when I ate that piece of chocolate. And I want to say I wasn't eating loads of chocolate. I was eating a piece of chocolate, a drop of dark chocolate. It was like healthy chocolate. But when I tuned in about it, I was like, oh, I've like, I like, was still guilty about that. Like my whole system kind of clamped down. So it was like a guilty pleasure. Like I was eating the chocolate, but it was like feeling like I shouldn't be eating it, and that it
Mm.
wasn't good for me, and that and so how I would describe it was like putting the brakes on or driving with the clutch on, or like not really actually receiving this choice to do something with pleasure. And then I like went under it to look at what that was about, and I realized that actually you know, that was so in Body Love, food is your relationship with more. And I realized that like pleasurable food kind of represents the sweetness of life and like all the good things in life. And I suddenly like had this like flash view of the landscape of me that like very, very, very good. Miss Taurus here, up at 11:30 at night doing her podcast. Very good at purpose, yeah? Like very good at eating the vitamins and the vegetables and the purpose and all of that. But like in terms of the balance of just being able to receive the sweetness, you know, just being able to let the like things like being in love, you know, like that aren't you doing purpose, just so out of balance within me, you know, which is why we're recording May the Life Force Be With You on Valentine's night alone, and I'm alone in my bed.
There's something there when you say that about, you know, there's about a letting go and allowing yourself to enjoy those moments and to, you know, have them guilt free. There's no point in doing life's pleasures if you then bring with you a whole bucket of guilt when you do it, because that weighs you down and therefore you lose the pleasure. So you're not receiving the high at all. You're just kind of keeping in that lower energy state. And then to that as well, there's something around that giving and receiving. It's the balance of both that then allows for that love to feel pleasurable, because if it's just one way, it don't feel good.
Exactly. But
You need the balance of
you
both.
know, but here's the thing. Soon as I saw it in that chocolate bar moment, I was like, then seeing it in my relationships, then seeing it in my money, like seeing it everywhere. Because when you look at it on the micro level, the mindfulness level, then you can see it on the macro level. You'd never be able to see it on the macro level,
No.
you know, like the same week that I had this chocolate moment, somebody offered me some money for some work they wanted me to do, and it was much higher than I was expecting. And I noticed that rather than being like brilliant, my whole system went into exactly the same thing I did with that chocolate bar, to the point that I almost was
Same note.
gonna haggle them down. Like, you know, and I stopped myself because I noticed that like there was me not receiving the pleasure of being valued properly. Do you see what I mean? And the ease of like suddenly having more than you expected and everything like that. So like this pattern is everywhere, which is the genius of body love in a way.
So where do you feel that? Because we're talking about body love. And so for some people, you know, mindfulness, when you start to really tap into mindfulness, it's not just about that conscious thought that you go, huh, hang on, I'm going to take some time to think about this, or I'm going to be consciously in this moment when I make this decision. There's a real connection to your body when you feel those things and when you react to them. So it might actually be the mindfulness is not looking for the thought, the mindfulness is looking for the feeling and the emotion. And that's always attached to something in your body first, because your body keeps the score, as they say. So when you
It
have those
actually, yeah.
moments, do you feel it somewhere in your body first? Do you feel
I felt it. I feel like what I saw in the chocolate bar made me recognize an energetic circuit, like an energetic pattern of, because I think in energy, like I think some people would translate energy into emotion. And I think actually before you're maybe more conscious of it, you call it emotion, and then you can see it as a pattern, as an energy move, you know, like how I recognized it. When I recognized it translated on the macro level, was as, oh, that's exactly the same energetic clamp down feeling of the brakes coming on, energetic sensation, but it was actually a how can I put it? Like, it was, I wouldn't have noticed it before. I would have just gone with the thoughts and the emotions, and then it's like, oh my gosh, how many times have you done that and actually like haggled your life down, essentially,
Yeah. And
not opened up.
that's why mindfulness is so important, right? Because you're bringing
Yeah.
that conscious awareness to the moment, and everything that you've described is why, people say, well, mindfulness, how does that impact my day-to-day life? It impacts it because you become more consciously aware of how you are living your life, of those moments that can pass you by because you're on autopilot, but actually are the ones that stop you in your tracks when you get more in tune with yourself, which is exactly, you might have had this thought lots of times, or you could have had the thought that you had that stopped you in your tracks this week, but you were mindfully aware. You listened to that thought pattern, you felt that energy, you felt your body, and now it's led to guessing some action, some changes, some deeper thinking around some areas of your life. But there, every instance of every day, we are letting those moments pass us by when we're not tuned into the moment without distraction or judgment, which is mindfulness.
100% agree with you. But for me, there was also a shadow work in between
I mean,
the
you're level
micro.
10, just so that everyone's listening. Kahreela's level 10 of this. So you're then next steps of how all that translates into your body, into your spiritual connection, into your shadow work, into your guidance, then takes that to a deeper
Well,
learning for you.
I
We all
didn't
have,
have a choice. I didn't have a choice. Like,
it took
I
you on.
feel like I saw the chocolate bar thing. What's happened is I've become very fluent at shadow work because I've done a lot of it.
Yeah,
So now,
yeah.
if I see something, that thing is coming. Like, I've worked with people to support me, and they're like, "Your system moves stuff so fast," and I'm like, "That's just because it's like, oh, shadow, here we go." But like, and it that's what happened. So the chocolate bar thing happened, and then like the next day, like everything is triggering me. Like, I am like the walking wound that David talked about. Like, and then by like day 2, I'm like tiny. Like my small self is like completely overwhelmed. And then by day and basically I'd like gone into this like this perception that like I was really lonely. Cash, who edits this podcast, was sitting on my couch next to me, and I'm like crying like a little kid, being like, "I'm so lonely." And Cash is like, "I'm next to you." Like my wound was that projecting. I wasn't seeing the person that was supporting me next to me. And then I like then it's like day
Say,
3.
just to say that's a really relatable thing that you just said, and I know that a lot of people will be able to relate to that, because they often say that the loneliest moments are when you're actually with someone or can be with someone. So what, very relatable that you're
So
so by
I
day
just,
3, sorry.
I so like crying next to Cash on the couch saying I'm so lonely. We had a gig that night of a friend that I'd invite. Like, there was nothing about my life that was lonely, and yet there was so much separation consciousness coming up in me that all I could feel was my pain body. And so the next day, like by that point, I am literally crying like uncontrollably, like a child. And I was going to go to a tantra workshop that afternoon, and we're actually interviewing her. She's coming up. I text the woman who's running it, and I'm like, I cannot come to this workshop. Like, I am not able to give pleasure to anybody today. I am having a wound explode right now. And then the fact that I said I wasn't going made me cry even harder. And so I was like, I texted her back and I was like, well, maybe I could sit in the safe corner and just cry it out because that's what I'm going to be doing anyway. So I might as well go to the safe corner. And so I go to this workshop that's like everybody else, they're like the intentions are being set, and like I am just bawling. Like, even before I get in the door, I'm like, I am not okay. But it was so powerful because I was kind of like, my intention with going was like, I'm going to sit in the safe space and have this wound that is feeling so unheld be held. And I'm not leaving because this is like a whole afternoon, and I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to clear out whatever this is and find out whatever this is in the most bizarre setting to do. We're not in a really beautiful setting. We're not a traditional setting. And so, like, I'm working through the layers, and like, the only wound that ever makes me cry like that is my mother wound. So I'm already familiar with this wound. Like, I knew that it was this wound. And like, I'm going through the layers of it and clearing it from my nervous system, clearing it from my emotional body. And in shadow work, where you want to get to is the belief. Like, what is the thing that you believe at the bottom of all of this? And the belief that I got to, which is what's relevant to Valentine's Day, so I was like, oh wow, there is a part of my subconscious that believes that love is a lie. And
Love
as I
is a
landed
lie.
there,
Is
that
that what
love
you
is a
said?
lie. Yeah.
Okay.
That just doesn't believe in love, that believes it's all bollocks.
That it's Hallmark Day, which is what Valentine's Day is.
Exactly. And that it's a lie. And so anytime when this belief is active in me, it won't accept the sweetness of life from a chocolate. It doesn't trust it doesn't believe the love that is sitting next to me trying to support me. It shuts down to anybody that's trying to love me and chases anybody that doesn't love me. Like, and just what I realized was that clamp down that I felt with the chocolate bar, and then after this, with the money thing, was that belief going, love is a lie. Don't trust love. Love is a lie. And like, I feel like it is that belief. There are some things in shadow work that, like, they're so entrenched in you and in your personality and in who you are that, like, once you've seen them, like, life is never going to be the same again. Like, they have been undercurrenting every single
Yeah.
thing you have been doing. And that, for me, this one, like, I was seeing it because I was in this workshop for hours and hours and hours. I was seeing, like, oh my god, like, this is where it is in everywhere. And yeah, and now, once something's out of the shadow, so once something's not in the subconscious anymore, it doesn't have the same power over you. Like, it,
Is
The
there
thing
a
is, I don't
belief?
believe that love is a lie. Like,
Well, I was going to
I
say,
believe in
yeah.
love. You
Well, I'm
know?
glad about that. Otherwise, we might not be able to be friends anymore. Because I go to bed every night on my own, and in a we're like the I don't know what from the outside we might look like the anti-love brigade, but I don't believe we are. I deeply
No.
believe we're like the opposite. In fact, I think I probably love too much.
Yeah, like I love
Too much
love.
to
You know,
give.
like
Too much to
I
give.
love love.
I got the dog a Valentine's Day present as well as everybody I'm staying with right now. And the dog was so happy because she loves ducks and she was so happy with the toy duck. I love to give. Like I love so that's definitely not where I think what we're saying or what we're at. But what did your experience release for you in terms of the realization that love is important, that what it means to
So
you?
what I do with shadow work is then I'm like, well, what is the new belief that I want to replace this old one with? And the new belief that I wanted to replace the old one with was love is true.
Love is
Because,
true.
this part of me that, and I think this is really important to say, I also had this amazing realization that the small part of me, the traumatized part, the inner child that was so distressed, she was sobbing for like 2 days. I realized she was distressed because your child still accesses the divine and knows that, like, your trauma in a way is the thing that, like, is so far away from your own divine that it distresses your inner child. Do you see what I mean? Like she knows or he knows or they know that it's so wrong, that it's such a distortion from your own divinity
And I
that
think
they're
like
overwhelmed.
for people that maybe aren't able to connect at that level right now, the way like I express in my work is when you have your core beliefs challenged. So we all have core beliefs, they're part of our makeup, they're what we deep down believe to be true, that is how we live our lives and is unique to us because they're a product of our environment, our upbringing, our ancestry,
Mm,
and also our belief patterns in that time. But when something happens that really challenges your core beliefs, you know when it doesn't feel right and you know when
yeah,
you're off track. And I think that's kind of what you're connecting, but in that very deep shadow side as well, right? Is that this is not true to who I am and I feel
yeah,
like weird about it. Is my
yeah.
sort of lead person's way of saying it.
Yeah, no, it's not a layperson's way, it's an intelligent and brilliant
Right.
person.
Right.
um, and so, yeah, like I also had this realization that all of this distress in me was because of my own, because this belief was so far away from my own divine. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, I then saw that, like, because I believed love is a lie, that's where I was also distorting my own truth. So I was also, I'm quite a flag flyer for truth, but in like romantic relationships and stuff like that, I do a lot of dancing around the truth. Do you know what I mean? I do a lot of like, love is a lie. Like, not consciously, but I saw that, like, subconsciously, that's the place where I like go around the bushes. Do you know what I mean? Or like don't
I
just
do. It's what I do too. There's like that fear of love whilst wanting it at the same time. Where
exactly, like not even saying that you want it. Like, do you see
no,
what I
you
mean?
don't because then you can't be hurt when it doesn't appear.
Exactly.
Just put the barrier up to begin with, then just go. Nobody can upset you. You can't find yourself in that kind of like heartbreak. So it's better just not to be open. And that's how previously I've worked a lot the last few years, like moving on from that. But I was like that for a very long time. I don't want to sit in discomfort, so I won't put myself forward in an environment where that might happen.
Exactly. Like, or like for me, like last few years, Valentine's Day, self-love ceremony. And I was like, you know what? I'm taken off the set after that. After like love is true, or love is true, which is what I decided. I was like, actually, I don't want more self-love. Like, I want more love. Like when I
Yeah.
connect to what the truth is, and I do want mind blowing, roomy style, romantic, blow my heart open love. But I also want more friendship, more community, more love that involves other people,
Yeah.
not self love. You know, like got quite a lot of that. Like, and so I like changed the name of the Valentine's Day ceremony, and have since been just because you can do the shadow work, but then you've got to do the habitual work. And have since been like, okay, if you want to live love is true now, you got to speak your truth like you have never spoken your truth before. Because you can't be around the bushes anymore. You got to be really like, this is what I think, this is what I feel, because that's what's going to energize love is true.
I felt that right in my heart. I
Mm.
love
And
habit.
then,
What I just quickly reflecting on that, like what I felt is that it's not about self love. It should be love is the same regardless. And you can feel love in everything that you do and every part of your life, to yourself, to others, to friends, to family, to relationships. And we should maybe stop bucketing things into different types of love, or
exactly.
overcomplicating it and having a Hallmark card day for different types of love, when it needs to be, it's a theme that we can build as a habit into every day.
And life is love. So, like,
Right?
why are we celebrating one day? Why is there Hallmark Day? Like life every day is an opportunity to love, for sure. But what's so awesome is, so I've like had this week, like that's been my week. And then I've been like, okay, I've also been doing this thing which I think is a really good practice for anybody that resonates with this. Is I was like, okay, so you've got a whole emptiness inside of you that believes love is a lie. And every morning I've been like having cacao, which I don't do every day. I only work with her when I feel guided to. She's a medicine for the heart. And at the moment, I'm like, she's the right medicine. So I've been having cacao and then spending 10 minutes just filling up with love, just affirming that love is not a lie, that love is here and now, and I can be full of it. And so that, like, I start my day on like a full battery of love. And it's been giving me loads of life force energy because I've been starting my day with the great source of life force energy, which is love. And so, like, since the wound purge, I've just been like, whoo, like so much energy because I've been doing this 10 minutes, not of meditation, not of manifesting, not of affirming, just back to basics, just like, right, the part of me that feels unloved is going to get full. And that's what's going to happen. But the thing that I love most, because the universe is absolutely a cosmic joker. We did the love ceremony at my house today because it was a little one. And when I do ceremony at my house, I often say like, come, like bring snacks and we'll have tea and tribe time after the ceremony. Like basically normally people bring like really healthy snacks like nuts and dates and fruit. Honestly, there were about 20 cakes in my living room. Like the universe just like nobody bought anything. There was chocolate, there was Florentines, there was cakes, there was like patisserie Valerie. Like it was just like this like feast of the sweet things, and I was like, my shadow work's already like my chocolate wound's already like manifesting more pleasure, because literally like the altar was just surrounded by chocolate and cake at the end of the night.
I love that. How beautiful. Well, it's lunchtime for me and you need to get to bed, so I'm gonna go and have maybe some chocolate.
Have it
Guilt.
totally. See if you can have it. Like obviously you shouldn't do anything that's damaging to you, and like you're not going to do this anyway because you're so healthy, but like obviously nobody should like gorge on like a ridiculous amount of chocolate, but like
I might have to be guilty though because it'll be
no,
the
don't be
no, no,
guilty.
no.
See if you
Because
can.
what I was going to say was I'll have to steal someone's chocolate that I gave them for Valentine's Day in order to have some chocolate today. So I might like I have to ask permission to share the love of them giving me some of my chocolate back. Um, but I will eat with pleasure. I will eat mindfully, and I'll eat with love.
Yeah, fill up on the sweetness of life.
Oh, amen to that. So I wish you a restful
Sweet
sleep
dreams.
and sweet dreams.
We hope this conversation has topped up your life force energy. If it has, then please help us spread the life force. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. And may the life force be with all of us.